David, Selma, I mean, I know you've been involved with this for many years, about 2007, I think it is.
That's right, yeah.
But the timing of it right now is actually quite incredible with what's going on in America and just where we are now, and to have Ava DuVernay be the director. Do you think there's something to be said for everything happens at the time it's meant to?
No question. When I first happened upon this script, I had a spiritual connection to it. God told me I would be doing it, and that's what made me stick with it for the 7 years. There were many times I was like, oh, forget this, you know, let it go. But, you know, between the opportunities I got in terms of doing films like Lincoln, Red Tails, The Butler, The Help, all that were looking at what it is to be a black person in this country for the last 150 years, they were all preparation for doing this role.
Ava, Selma, you know, I think for South Africans there's going to be such a great resonance because the relationship between Lyndon B. Johnson and Martin Luther King Jr. kind of resembles what Nelson Mandela and F.W. de Klerk had to go through.
Well, I mean, I think, you know, you have freedom fighters around the world that are fighting the good fight about all kinds of issues around justice and dignity. Certainly there are parallels between Johnson and King and de Klerk and Mandela, this meeting of the minds, you know. Maybe the reluctant heroes, you know. I mean, Johnson and de Klerk might not have done what would not have done what they did without being instigated by other great men. So it's a real interesting dynamic that we explore. I'm interested to see how the rest of the world finds the story.
Carmen, great duo. This film had other directors attached to it along the way. What do you think having Ava DuVernay helmet has done?
I always felt like she cared about like each and every person that was there, and cared about the story, and cared about the people who had like contributed and did this.
On top of that, she has what is invariably a female touch, which is a certain kind of insight into psyche and psychology between two people that I think was invaluable in this film. So she has the ability to tell the big epic story, but she also has the ability to really get very up close and personal.
You've been making history as a female director, which we know you've done already at the Sundance Film Festival with your previous film. But do you have a sense that you're doing this for others, that you're kind of creating a pathway for others to come?
I walk in the footsteps of a lot of amazing people of color, a lot of amazing women, a lot of amazing women of color directors who have done this before me, and so I'm not the first to have ever done it. I might be the first to be recognized with certain honors, but certainly a long legacy of beautiful filmmakers, and I hope a long legacy behind me, a long line.
Watching David Oyelowo, his career, I mean...
You say his name so well.
That moment when you saw him as Martin Luther King Jr., what was that moment like when you knew that he had it?
It was a big moment. We had rehearsed, we had talked about it quite a bit. We did costume fittings. I saw a bit of it, pieces of it. But when the first day on set, when I saw it on film, him moving, sounding, being King, an extraordinary experience, I knew we have it, we got it.
As Martin Luther King Jr., you really, within the way that you are, your eyes, you see what it must have been like for him to have to advocate for peace and peaceful protest when he saw people getting hurt and abused and physically assaulted. How did you manage to do that? You
have to go beyond the words and find out what's going on between the lines. And I think that what you just talk about there is exactly what I try to do. That's why you have to go for the human being rather than the icon, because the eyes are the windows to the soul, and that's what you're speaking to in the audience when you're doing these kind of movies.
Carmen, you contributed to the song, the soundtrack. Do you feel that there are enough songs out there that are making use of the art form's ability to push for change, social change?
I don't see a lot of songs out there that are out there pushing for social change, but there are some, and I like, you know, when I do look at an artist like a Kendrick Lamar, he got a song called I Love Myself. To me, that's part of social change. Yeah. Just being able to like start there, it starts there. But I will say, any artist that chooses to do it, I just hope it's done in sincerity and not done for like, yo, this is the hot thing now, so let me get on this, you know, because it is good to speak in a positive voice, but you want it to be truthful, because the truth really is what resonates with the people, and eventually, you know, the message shouldn't be saturated. It has to be strong and cut through the whackness and get to the truth, you know.